Thank you very much. Amandla. Watinta bafazi. Long live the fighting spirit of Winnie Mandela, long live. Long live the fighting spirit of Zinzi Mandela, long live. Amandla. Thank you very much, National Chair, the Deputy President, the SG, DSG and the TG, members of the War Council, members of the Central Command Team, the former National Chair, the former SG and the former TG. I'm told you are also here. And the former DSG. So it is very difficult to see who's here and who's not here because you are wearing masks. So when they said Mbuyiseni must sing, I didn't recognize it was him. I thought it was another woman. Until they said, no, Mbuyiseni must sing. And, oh, Mbuyiseni is also here. We salute our comrades in the continent and in the diaspora. We salute all the progressive women of our country and the continent and the diaspora. Makulu, we have visited you today to humble ourselves, to salute you and all the defiant and uncompromising women of your time. We came with your daughters and granddaughters here. In the presence of your defiant daughter Zinzi, we are here in front of your gentle granddaughter Zenani to seek your spiritual wisdom on how to address the war that is waged against the women of our country. We are here, Makulu, to seek your counsel and cry on your shoulders like we did before when we were faced with difficult times. Today, Comrade Winnie, we are here to tell you that the brutality which women suffered in the hands of the nonsensical and murderous regime is now continuing under the so-called democratic government of the ANC in South Africa. Your children are here, Makulu, because they've always wanted to visit your resting place and that of your beautiful daughter, Zinzi. They wanted to visit your resting place because you remain their inspiration. They want to see where you are resting so that they can confidently say that they are following in your footsteps. We know that you remain the mother of our nation because there is no one like you. When I got a call from your daughter Zenani, who said to me that the EFF should proceed with its plans to rename or to name their building after you, including the naming of the school after you. When she gave us her blessings as your surviving child, she also said to me that during my grandmother's funeral, the women of the EFF had asked her to visit your grave. And she thinks it is the right time for the women of the EFF to visit your grave. And that is why we are here, Mama. Because your family continues to associate with the EFF and continues to support the EFF and your legacy. They know that there is no legacy of Winnie Mandela without the EFF. So this morning, your daughter Zenani came to make you aware that your grandchildren and your children will be here to come and salute you and to wish us well. We all knew that indeed we have the blessings of the family. It was on this day, 56 years ago, when 20,000 brave women of our country marched to Pretoria to fight against nonsensical laws which were demanding them to carry passes. They said they cannot be made subhumans in their own country. It was not the first generation. It was Charlotte Maxeke's generation that also defied in 1919 the carrying of passes because they said this was the land of their forefathers. I mention this to demonstrate that women have always fought against anything that is nonsensical. And it is this generation of Lillian Ngoyi, Mama Winnie, and Charlotte Mateke, and many others who continue to inspire the younger generation. It is these women that we have come to celebrate today, who have made you to be so strong and powerful today, because you come from the brave women of Africa. We are here today because the young women of our country are saying to you, Makulu, they will never abandon the struggle for as long as women are still oppressed. Women are still oppressed because majority of highly funded non-governmental organizations are not led by women. Women are still oppressed because higher positions in business and in government are still occupied by men to the exclusion of women, even when these women do qualify. Women are still persecuted wherever they go on the basis of their gender. It is women who have to fear being raped every day. It is women who have to fear sexual harassment in workplaces, at churches, and even in their own homes. Despite the foundation that the 1956 generation has laid, women in general and black and African women in particular are struggling for recognition in the economic structure. If you go to Johannesburg Stock Exchange, there are no women, except that the CEO is a female. If you go to Eskom, a woman is being released, particularly a black African woman, and replaced by a male. Jamnandas replaced an African woman with a white woman. It is men who decide which woman takes which position. When you deal with issues of CEOs in South Africa, majority of CEOs are males. Whereas in state-owned companies, if you go to SAA, if you go to Eskom, if you go to Dinel, and majority of all these state-owned enterprises, it is males. But what is even worse is that these companies are being transferred back into the hands of white males. So it is not just males, it is white males who are leading in these strategic companies of our country. It is happening because the government of Ramaphosa hates black people and worse, hates black African females. I think Jamnandas, if it was his own will, all African females should not occupy any position of power. Because everywhere he finds a female West African, he destroys them. So we need to fight and ensure that our own companies are not transferred back into the hands of white males. Worse, Makulu, is the gender wage gap. Men are earning more than females. And even when they do the same job, even when they qualify, both of them, whereas when they start a job, women will always be started at a lower wage, whereas men will be given an unfair advantage. Of course, education helps to close the gap, but that education is not enough, because the same people who are educated, if it's a male and a female will be given a preference, where a female succeeds, her salary will be less than that of a classmate. Comrades, it is worse with women who only have matric. They earn way less than men who have matric. It is worse with women who are not educated at all, because men who are not educated at all have more chances of getting a job in some construction company or security or warehousing or transport. Because we all know the taxi drivers, the bus drivers, and all those type, majority of them are males. And if they are not educated, they will get a preference over an uneducated woman. In the legal fraternity, you must just forget. The senior councils, you have very few women, whereas very few Africans, both male and females. And if you have the attorneys, the females that are there, they are less than the males, and worse, the African females who are attorneys are way less than the white female attorneys. To show that this government doesn't like women, just recently, they have established a team of advocates assembled by the NPA to closely work with Zondo Commission to prosecute state capture crimes. There was not a single senior black woman advocate in that team, which was recently established by a government that says it prefers women. It has got Ministry of Women. When a government establishes such a committee without a senior woman, where is the Department of Women to intervene and say not in our name? Where is the Department of Women to intervene when tenders of PPEs are given to males only? Remember, PPEs are very essential services, and people who know how to provide essential services are women. But where money exchanges hands in the essential services, the good, caring people who know how to provide essential services are excluded. The bidding committees, the adjudicating committees, in the departments that are led by women, do not have women. If they are women, they are one or two to the majority of bullying males who will not listen to a soft-speaking woman. The only way she could be listened, the only way they can listen to her, if she shouts on top of her voice, because they just undermine her, firstly because it's a woman. In all the land questions that are resolved and given back to communities, if you look at those committees in the villages or where land claims took place, there are no women. It is only males who claim to know the correct history of the family and who is buried where, and claim the land. After claiming the land, successfully rent it back to the white male. And when the monies exchange hands, women are not in those committees to influence direction of how those resources should be handled. It cannot be a successful land claim if it's not resolving the landless question amongst women. We must fight that women must own farms. We must fight that women must lead in agricultural sector. Because today, the face of agriculture, the face of farms is white males in khaki uniforms. So when a person says ownership of farms, the first picture that comes into your mind is some arrogant white male. When people talk about agriculture, it's an arrogant white male. When they say farmers are being killed, the face of farmers are being killed, is a white Afrikaner male. We must change that in our lifetime. So any land question that gets resolved, or any land that gets to be nationalized and transferred into the hands of the people, and after that program, we still find that majority of the land is not in the hands of females, then we should know the land question has failed. A successful land question will make sure that each woman in South Africa owns a minimum of a hectare. From there, we can talk of a successful program of land question. Minimum hectare, not less than a hectare. Because anything less than a hectare, comrades, is not land. It's a piece of land. So you cannot go around, National Chair Dalimpof, saying I've got land when you don't have a hectare. So anyone who goes around saying I've got a land and you don't have a hectare, you are a waste of time yourself. Because you are undermining our struggle for land. You go around lying that you've got land. You don't have land, you have a piece of land. A land starts with hectare, minimum hectare going forward. And that's what our women should own. We want our women to be on top of tractors. We want them to give orders. We want them to give direction of how we can produce food and feed our own people. Because you are feeders yourself as mothers. We want you to lead the establishment of food banks. We want you to lead the program to feed the African continent because it's starving. It needs you at the helm of leadership to lead us into feeding the African continent. You require nobody's permission to do that. So when you say you want to occupy space, you cannot occupy space the way you were singing earlier on. Because occupation of space means authority. You must demonstrate you are in charge. Because the day you demonstrate doubt, no one is going to take you serious. You occupy the space, you require nobody's approval. If you are making mistakes, you learn from those mistakes and go forward because you are denied opportunities to learn. You are going to learn on the job. And learning on the job means you are going to commit a lot of mistakes. So when the EFF says we want the land, we want the economy, we want the banks, we want all strategic sectors of the economy to be owned and controlled by our people, we mean you, the women of South Africa. Because anyway, you are the majority in this country. And therefore, anything that is the opposite will be undemocratic. I agree with everything that the national chairperson said about how we are going to deal with issues of crime. The input on how we need to strengthen legislation is very important. And what is even more painful is that the legal fraternity will have to start engaging on those matters. Why should the first point of engagement be bail and not the victim? Because once it becomes the first hearing of this matter, the first thing we hear is bail, and it means the first thing is the perpetrator. But we are not here for the perpetrator. We are here to seek justice for the victim. But the first thing we hear is where the perpetrator sleeps, where the perpetrator wakes up, how many children does the perpetrator have, the qualifications of the perpetrator. The Limpopo will polish them and say them nicely. We must take 2 days hearing about this rapist and not hearing about the person who got victimized by the perpetrator. And it is going to take 9 months about the perpetrator. It will all be about the perpetrator. The bail, then the bail gets postponed, then the bail again, then it gets postponed, then from there it gets bail, then we come back. Then we're not ready, and then the perpetrator is not ready. After 12 months, only will we see and hear. 12 months. You even forgot the facts and the small details of what happened, and then at the end, you are labeled a liar. Because the buying of time is to make sure that you forget the facts, but also the emotions are gone. Even yourself will not, you know what? If you like, we must just leave this thing. When you go, you are no longer in that strong position where you are going to be very persuasive to the judge. Because the matters, if they are dealt with when they are still hot, you are able to bring your all into the case. But they buy time so that you lose interest. And even when you finally go into the box, you just deal with it as by the way. Let's just deal with this thing and finish it because I've been waiting for this day and it's not coming. So the question we ought to ask is, why do we start with the perpetrator and not the victim? Because justice should be about justice for the victim. It cannot be justice for the perpetrators. Innocent until proven otherwise, fine. But what about this person who has been violated? Pregnant women get stabbed and then get hanged on a tree. The day we are going to hear the facts of that case, we'll be pulling each other to seek clarity and remind of which one is this one, by the way. But that time, if after taking her from the tree and burying her and now starting to look into the facts of a case, all of us will still be emotionally involved, will even help the lawyers with the facts and arguments, because we are still emotionally there. We search so deep to find the best argument to take these people to jail so they can rot in jail. By the time it comes, we've all lost interest. We are now dealing with a different new case, which is also going to be heard after 2 years. So we need the legislation with teeth. We need a biting legislation, not a legislation that buys time. I'm a politician, I will tell you how politicians operate. Commissions of inquiry, like courts and all of that, when politicians don't want to do something, they establish a commission of inquiry. Then it drags and drags and drags. By the time it releases the results of state capture, we have a new problem. It's Ramaphosa. The problem again was Zuma that time. Now they took us forever and forever. Now we are no longer interested in Zuma. When they release a state capture, okay, fine, put there. Here's a man. The problem is this one now. That's what they do. They buy time with long processes to get you to forget, and from there, they run away with murder, and they never get to be held accountable. So, I'm happy that the women of the EFF and the EFF are leading the charge in terms of retraining of judges and magistrates and retraining of police and introducing counseling at police stations and introducing offices that will guarantee confidentiality to the victims. And those offices must be led by the most patient person. You ought to be very patient. I had a situation in my family now where my nephew got into trouble and she wouldn't talk. All you have to do is to ask her, and if she refuses to speak, you keep quiet and sit there, allow her time to think about it, and from there she will slowly, bit by bit, start narrating a story of what really transpired. We need that type of patience at police stations. Not when you walk into a police station with a child and the child refuses to speak, police bar because the victim is not talking here. So when I'm a problem. She's not talking and they're busy. Police station. Next. That's how the perpetrator survives. If we have a counseling office, caring office, take through the child, talk to the child, leave her there to calm down, and when she's ready, she will talk. If she's not ready today, we'll be referred back home and be encouraged to come back tomorrow. And there must be a follow-up, someone to follow up. Can I come? Are you at home? Because we need to pursue this matter. Rape and abuse of women and children should be crimes against the state. So much that even when the victim withdraws the case, the state must proceed with the case against the perpetrator. Because families intervene, money exchange hands, and families say, we cannot embarrass our uncle like that. We cannot embarrass the breadwinner. You know you are what you are because of this uncle. You cannot report this case. Anyone who suspects that there was rape in that house, who suspects there was women abuse in that house, should be allowed to go and lay a complaint, even when you are not a victim yourself. The whole night. And police must take that case and put the best investigating officers until they find evidence and arrest this person, whether the wife opened the case or not. If you know of an abuse, if you know of violence against women, if you know of violation against children and grandchildren, you must be allowed to open a case, because those types of cases must be crimes against the state. The same way EFF always goes to police station. The DP and the TG went to open a case against the ESCOM COO. Even when the COO didn't steal from them personally, but because you stole from our people and you stole from the state, it is my responsibility. We must all be charged with that responsibility to report these people who are committing crimes against our women. We have heard you, all the women who have spoken here. I hope the former SG was taking the notes and is going to make follow-ups as a lawyer, because I've seen a lot of work that he's doing now. He's going after every government institution that has violated the rights of individuals, and he sues the state against those people. One of the cases he did was an old man who was killed in a hospital because a mentally disturbed person was let free, and that person went into another ward, stabbed the other patients, and stabbed the old man and killed that old man. The SG went against the Department of Health, and when he gave them the letter of demand, the department immediately said, we don't even want to argue. We know this is a case of negligence, and they paid immediately. When they paid, the former SG said to the family of the old man, we don't want anything. This is for you, it's for the family, because We are lawyers for justice. So sterilization against our women who have not consented, or even when they did under questionable condition like the one which was described here, we need to follow that case up as an individual case, and many others that the organization is dealing with, to punish this reckless state that undermine our women. Who said HIV positive women can't have kids? They've got kids now, and they continue to make very beautiful kids who are healthy, who some of them are even much older now, providing services to the state. So when you sterilize women against their consent, you are taking away potential from the state. We need to go after these doctors. We need the name of that white doctor. We need the names of all of them, so that we go after their practices. They must withdraw their licenses. They are not qualified to be doctors. Doctors and nurses are not murderers. They must save life. They must do everything in their power to encourage bringing life and saving life, not to take away life and prevent life. Any woman who wants to sterilize, it's her choice. She must not be denied that opportunity. But anyone who wants to make himself a mini God by deciding who's going to have a child, who's not going to have a child, then we must go after those people. The same way with those who want to do sex work. It is their call. These women have raised an important question which no one has responded to. Why are they criminalized and the buyer is not criminalized? I think you will like that case, SG, of sex work. I think you'll have to deal with it properly and bring all types of experiences into this matter, so we can see how we can save the day. So why is the buyer not arrested? You arrest the sex workers because they are women, and you can easily undermine women like that. Men who are the buyers, because they are men, you can't play with them. DP, it's a matter of legislature. It's not a complicated matter. It's a matter where we need to make a private bill, members' bill in Parliament. And the best way to do it, it can be done before the end of this month, the Women's Month, and say, we are putting here a private members' bill to decriminalize sex work. And we're not fighting with any religious person or anyone. Sex work, no one is forced to do that. Sex buyer, no one is forced to do that. So let people exercise their own right of choosing what they want to do with their lives. They've made a call here, TG. They said, because the streets are closed and the economy is closed, the sex workers do not have food. So in the immediate, perhaps we should buy the food parcels and give to the sex workers until the economy opens and we're able to go back and be able to provide for ourselves. So we have all the resources in Parliament to make proposals on legislation. In most cases, when we make proposal for legislation, these criminals who steal everything, including money of SMSs for COVID, they steal our proposals in Parliament. The legislation on state-owned bank, we put it to Parliament, they hijacked it. And after hijacking it, they derail the whole thing so that they make it impossible. I tell you now, the ANC Women's League has been in existence for donkey years. but it has never made a proposal in Parliament through private members' bill or through their majority in Parliament to decriminalize sex work. It's not about the legislation. We've got the power. We've got everything what it takes to make legislation. All it takes is a political will. In the absence of the political will, we can talk sex work, decriminalization for the rest of our life. Nothing will happen. So let us not be like all these magogos and madalas who are there in Parliament. We need to be proactive and propose legislation that is progressive and that is going to save our people. Comrades, we are here at Mama's grave to talk about the rights of our women, and she was the champion of that. But yet here next door in Zimbabwe, the rights of the people of Zimbabwe are being violated. Where's the rights of women? They abduct children from the streets, particularly girl children, rape them and kill them in the bush. The police and the soldiers have become law unto themselves. Mnangagwa has become a pig and is eating his own children in Zimbabwe. Mnangagwa is not different to Ramaphosa. When they came in, a lot of us had thought something positive will happen. Things have become extremely worse. We need Zimbabwe back. We need Zimbabwe back into the hands of the women of Zimbabwe and the children of Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans are not cowards. Zimbabweans have fought before. Why is the youth of Zimbabwe fighting through hashtag? Why is the youth of Zimbabwe fighting from South Africa and London? Why are they not occupying the borders of Zimbabwe there in Musina? We will support them and say no car goes into Zimbabwe, no car comes out of Zimbabwe until the rights of our people are restored in Zimbabwe. Why is the youth of Zimbabwe not rising in Zimbabwe and face death because they are already dead? To live with a mother who can be raped at any time by the state with no consequences. To live with a sister who can be raped at any time with no consequences. Our own comrades should stop the hashtag revolution and engage in the real revolution. They supported us during our struggle. We must support them now. And the most practical thing for South Africa to do, if Cyril Ramaphosa respects the human rights, as he claims to have drafted this constitution that they say is the best constitution in the world, he must withdraw the South African embassy from Zimbabwe and chase away the Zimbabwean embassy from South Africa until the rights of Zimbabweans are restored. It's the most less violent and not interfering with anything. But we cannot have presence in a country where human rights are violated. So we are the people of human rights. You have a problem with gays, you've got a problem with lesbians. In the EFF, you are not welcomed. Those comrades in the NCOP who voted against that bill of same marriage bill, civil union bill, the EFF people voted against it. We have instructed them to go and choose an NGO or any other organization that deals with those issues of lesbians and gays and all of that, and donate their monthly salary into those organizations, because what they did was extremely embarrassing and an EFF. But also it shows you that they do not know the EFF. Because the founding manifesto of the EFF explain and deals with those issues clearly, and they will not cause any confusion. Okay, if you have not read the founding manifesto, the manifesto that took you to Parliament now in 2019 deals with those questions very clearly. So you don't even know the document which took you to Parliament, and you want to get a salary from the same document. Now, all of those comrades are going to donate their money to this organization, to organizations as we have mentioned. And if they dare repeat that mistake, they will be opening doors for themselves to leave this organization, because here we do not discriminate. We are for everyone, and worse, we are for those who are weak, who are rejected, who are isolated and discriminated unfairly. Those are the people of the EFF. That's why Zimbabwe will always be our friend. That's why Palestine will always be our friend. Children are killed by Israel. Women are being violated. Israel wants to continue to extend its territory illegally and undermine the Palestinians. We are with the people of Palestine because they are the rejected, they are the undermined, they are the isolated. We are with the female doctors of Cuba who are everywhere in the world providing assistance to needy countries, including countries that have made sanctions against them. Italy passed sanctions against Cuba. But when they were dying, Cuba didn't say you pass sanctions against us, because they are informed by socialist solidarity. They knew that life matters more than politics. And they send their doctors to a country that has sanctioned them. And they are helping in Italy. They are helping here in South Africa. We must be inspired by those female doctors of Cuba, because we are nothing without international solidarity. We want the women of Western Sahara to own their land, to work in their land, and we want them to have their own freedom so that they can provide and feed their children in favorable conditions, because Morocco should stop the occupation of Western Sahara. So, for as long as the women of Western Sahara are oppressed, then there is no one who can enjoy freedom anywhere in the world. There is no freedom if there is a particular corner of the world which is suffering an oppression. So we must always think of those women of Western Sahara. Comrades, we are here to say to the old lady and her daughter that the struggle continues. We are here to pick up the spear and continue the good fight they've been fighting. We are here to say to them that the organization that represents those who are evicted in Cape Town and in East London and here in Johannesburg is here to stay. We are here to say to Mama, the children who were expelled from school in Rhodes because they fought a rape culture are now going to be represented legally, and they must get their degrees back, and their ban must be unbanned, and they must continue to go to school. Women of the EFF, we are not better men in the EFF. We are like all of them. Continue to uneducate us of our bad manners. Continue to teach us. We are here to follow you. When we say our women, we don't necessarily want to refer to you as our objects. We are trying to show that we care, we are together in this thing. We use it the same way we refer to our fathers and mothers, our own. So we are trash like them. We are not going to stand here and want to pretend we are different. The only difference between us and them is that we are prepared to unlearn the bad manners we're taught. And we are prepared to teach our children to become better people. Because that's what we need to do. It will take a generation for us to unlearn all these things, but to teach the young ones to be better people. My son goes to a boys' school. And when they respond, when they call their names, they must respond like in a military arrangement. And when they respond in a soft voice, they say to them, "Why do you respond like a girl?" And I said to him, "I'm going to write a letter to that principal and tell him he's teaching you nonsense. How do girls respond? Because you respond the way you want to respond. So you can't say, why do you respond like a girl?" He's teaching you already that there is a difference between boys and girl. There shouldn't be a difference. They should be human beings, not a boy or a girl, not white or black. We want to live in a country and the world where we see each other through the eyes of a human being, not through racist eyes, not through sexist eyes. So we came here today as men in the EFF to come and join you and support you. Because so we are one thing. Something happened, we don't know what happened. So if you want to use us anyhow you want to use us. So we are here for you. We are under your instructions. So please, leadership is not about being a man or a woman. Leadership is brains. We follow the best brains. And when the chairperson was speaking here, I was very happy that, you know, we are led and we are led properly in the EFF. And we can rest and sleep someday knowing that our leaders will take this organization to a different level. So Makulu, we are going to leave now, but please be informed that the airport is still not named after you. Even when transport department is led by your son Mbalula that you fought so much for him, Mbalula that you told Zuma why he removed him, and you told Cyril to put him back into cabinet because he has potential. When your son Mbalula was appointed a minister, I was very happy because I thought the airport was going to be named after you in less than 3 months. But Mbalula, like them, he has still not named the airport after you. When it was blazed in Zimande, I knew that he had no potential to do a right thing. He has never done a right thing. His face tells you, this man will never do anything right. So we knew he had no potential blade to do the right thing. I trusted Mbalula to do the right thing. I still hope that Mbalula will do the right thing. I thought your son Ace Makashule, who slept in your house and ate your food like Mbalula, will do the right thing and name the airport after you. Till today, they have not done the right thing. They hated you when you were alive. They still hate you in death. It doesn't matter what they say. It is their actions that speak a lot. Every time something happens to you, Makulu, they say they are going to finish the Brantford Museum. Till today, there is no museum. Now your daughter who stayed with you in that house in Brantford is no more. Who's going to tell the real story of what transpired in that house? We are going to be subjected to all types of distortion because the real people who stayed in that house, both of them are laying here today. The ANC uses your name to steal money of the people because they say they are going to do a museum and name it after you, but there is no museum. They hated you, not because you are Winnie Mandela. They hated women. The same women who are leading in government who sold you out Makulu, they are still selling out women today. We were told by Cyril Ramaphosa that his cabinet is 50% women. So what? What does it translate to in practice? 50%, so what? They are stealing the money of COVID-19 like nothing. Like Mama Kaula said, bayathuma ngale bathuma omunye ngale bayatshontsha. Thuma mina in action. Bayathumana to steal the money of the people. They are no longer even hiding, Mama. They are stealing openly with their wives. They are tired of stealing with friends and distant relatives. Now it's wives and kids. And they have now accepted that all of them have stolen. Julius says, oh, no one can claim to have not done work with government. He's effectively saying, we have all stolen. So they've accepted that they've stolen. People are dying. COVID-19 is finishing our nurses and now is killing even doctors. The front line, people are dying in their numbers. Why? There are no PPEs. There is no protection. There are no ventilators. There are no oxygen machines. Because the government of the day which you fought for has turned against your own people. So we came here to report to you that things are getting worse. Ramaphosa came to your house when he was campaigning, trying to provoke your name and using your image to gain votes so that he can steal. He's stealing in your name, Comrade Winnie. They are collapsing this government. The youth are unemployed. There are no jobs. Majority of the unemployed youth is young women. They now depend on men for support, and this has led to the abuse of these young women. People are dying of hunger. We are at a point where the state is going to become another failed African state. We are there now, under Cyril Ramaphosa, under the ANC of Ace Magashule, people who do not know what is wrong and right. They are stealing even the SASSA money. The 350 of the unemployed, the poorest of the poor, is being stolen by those who can afford, yet they still steal from the poor masses of our people. The food parcels have got eyes and they are written names of people. If you are not a relative of a councillor or you do not know the municipal manager, for the past 4 months, there are families which have never received a food parcel. They do that, Mama, in your name and the name of the organization you fought so hard for. So we are here to report that the EFF will not allow them to collapse this country. We are here and we are ready to take over and govern our people in a better way and guided by the female leadership of our country and our own organization. We're not here as crybabies. We are here because we came to pause and re-energize. From here, we are going to double our efforts to fight corruption, to expose corruption, and to declare those who steal from our people as enemies of the revolution. Anyone who steals from the poor, anyone who kills the poor, anyone who rapes women, anyone who kills women is the enemy of the revolution and will never find friendship in the EFF. That's what should characterize the leadership of the EFF. Fighters, there is nothing left in South Africa except the EFF. And therefore the leaders of the EFF must behave in a manner that will not compromise this only remaining alternative of the people of South Africa. Because if the leadership of the EFF behaves in a manner that tarnishes the image and destroys the only hope that is remaining, you are destroying the hopes of the hopeless masses of our people. Lying here, it's a woman who died knowing that the EFF will pick up the spear and continue the fight. Be guided by this uncompromising spirit of this real fighter here. The most fearless, the most uncompromising, the one who was not scared of death. So we brought you here to know that here lies a giant. And stop worshipping and role modeling thugs and criminals who are stealing from our people. Are you looking for a role model? Are you looking for a revival? Are you looking for reawakening your fighting spirit? Here lies the most powerful woman the world has ever produced. Thank you very much.
All right, well, there you have it. That's the EFF's Commander-in-Chief, Julius Malema, delivering the Women's Day rally from Winnie Mandela's graveside. This is in Fourways here in Johannesburg. Having chosen the venue, Malema says that they chose to go to the graveside today in order to seek what he calls Winnie's spiritual wisdom on how to address the war that's waged against the women of South Africa. A whole range of issues came out of his speech. We'll certainly be reflecting on that throughout here on the show. But for now, a quick break. I'll be back with your headlines.